What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a late start, but we are going to get some work done. So I got my car back on the floor. Last night we did the diff fluid and also the brakes. I already drove the car. No weird noises in the back, no shaking, no rattling. That's awesome. Now I still have the car parked backwards because I do want to do today or tonight or right now, I need to go find one of my drive shaft for the rear and then a viscous coupler, and I want to get it mounted in place, figure out what I'm going to do as far as bracketry goes for the viscous coupler, because the front wheel drive doesn't have the tunnel brackets for the viscous coupler, and I have to get a little creative with that one. But that is the goal: drive shaft, viscous coupler, and complete pretty much the back half, and then we can start getting into the engine. But before we get started, I don't know if you guys saw the last video when I showed you guys the ITR wheel in comparison to the replica. So up here, it's kind of dark. We have 96 specs ITR Big 4 4x114, and then this one down here, when I bought this set for $100, this rim is actually bent in the face, and it's gonna cost me a lot of money to fix it. But went on Facebook Market last night, and if you guys know 1320 Performance, he's about 2 hours from me. Jeff posted up a set of 96 spec ITR wheels and the conversion for fairly good price. And then he said at the very bottom of the listing, it said also has a 5th wheel, will come with the set or sell separate for $80. So I messaged him, he messaged back, he said he was willing to sell it, I was willing to buy it. And I asked him, instead of me driving 2 hours that way, is shipping available? He said yes. And I told him I don't need the tire because those wheels are powder coated and this one is white. So this just came in today. I don't know how many years it's been when I bought the set of 96 specs, but I've been searching for a very long time and finally got that one I've been looking for. Voila. Now this looks like rust. I don't know, maybe rust from steel lug nuts, but regardless of the fact, this is going to be super cleaned up, and we're going to try to paint match it to the gray set over there. I might even scuff those guys down and paint it champ white, because I already have a gray set in 4x100, and it would be nice to have a set of white ones. I got the car jacked up as high as the jack can go, and it's very important to do the shake test because I am going to be under the car. It's pretty sturdy. Got the jack in the back because I'm going to spend more time back here anyways, and that's an extra insurance. So here we have my drive shaft for the wagon and a spare set. So these two guys right here goes from the viscous coupler, which sits in the middle of the car, and then it goes to the transmission, right? So front guys we're not going to need right now, and these are the back guys. Now I have choices. I have this guy and this guy. So the thing is, both of these shafts have one looser than the other. So this guy right here is nice and firm. That means, you know, the yoke is still good, has some life in it still. This guy is good as well, right? Nice and firm. The problem is it's like broken, or something is protruding out of the yoke itself. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if that's going to cause an issue, but one way of the yoke is really nice and the other way makes like a weird clicking. I don't know if you can't hear it, but I can feel it in my hands. This shaft has a really loose end, and the opposite side is really good. So because we're just mocking this up for right now, I'm just going to pick one of the two. So I got my viscous coupler rebuilt by Benjamin White over here at White's Racing. You can find him on Facebook at Benjamin White, or probably tag his Instagram. But this is a rebuilt unit. I believe it's like 100 weight oil, if that makes any sense. But I seen this part right here between the coupler mount and the viscous itself, and I'm like, all right, well, I need to press that down. So I've been sitting here for about 30 minutes trying to press this shit down, and it won't budge. And then I went back into the garage and looked at my other viscous coupler, and I took measurements from this tab right here to the bottom of the viscous right here. It's 1 3/4. Over here it's 1 3/4. And then I measured from the top to the bottom of the Viscous coupler is 4 1/8, and it is 4 1/8. So now just leads me to believe that the rubber cover that's supposed to be there, it's not there. That's why it looks exposed, and this whole time I've been trying to press it down. So this is pretty much ready to go as is. Just got to figure out how to, you know, cover this up so it doesn't get a bunch of gunk in it when the car is driving. So here is a comparison to my other Viscous coupler. You can see they are the same height, except I don't have whatever boot's missing. I don't know what's missing here. This guy's missing. Oh, it's a dust shield. It's a shield. A shield and another dust shield for the backside. Huh. That sucks. This is one of those times where I wished I didn't turn my bearing puller into a different tool for a different job. And now I don't have a bearing puller. So after a little bit of hammering, a lot of WD-40 and the torch, I was able to get that front half off right here, the carrier bearing. This one's already destroyed. I got the back shield, front shield off. This guy's kind of chewed up because it was kind of complicated to take it off. I'm probably going to bend those tabs back 1, 2, and 3. And this should, damn, that thing looks messed up. Next day here, guys. So last night I took a long time to put my drive shaft on because I was going through my little bag of bolts for the drive shafts, and it was a mixture from 2 sets of drive shafts, and I didn't have all the right bolts. So over there, that's my brother's wagon, and a couple months ago we went to the track and the car lost the bolts to the rear drive shaft and dragged the drive shaft for a couple of miles. So then when time came around for him to reinstall it, I gave him a set of bolts, and those are the bolts that I'm missing. So I had to use some 12 mils right here and regular 12 nuts with red Loctite, but these are for the rear. The correct ones are on the shaft from here to the Viscous coupler. So now let's crawl underneath the car and mock it up. This is a good sign. Diff is not leaking. Nice and sealed. The thing about this RTV, when I used it the first time, it didn't dry at all after like 4 hours. I think it was just cold, but it was dry the next day that I filled the fluid in, and it's good to know it ain't leaking. We have 2 jack stands to hold the Viscous, and the drive shaft. I'm only going to put 2 bolts on here for now because I'm going to have to take it up and down to you know, make our brackets and stuff. But 2 bolts diagonal to hold it up. And let me try to get this set up real quick. Alright guys, so it's a little hard to record under here, but I'm looking at this bolt right here, and this bolt is threaded into the frame with a 32 mil axle nut. So this just so happens to line up perfectly with the front carrier bushing tab, which is this one right here. And once I bolt that into place, that would, it's so dark down here, that would place the other tab, this one right here on the top, wherever it sits on this side, and then I can just make an ear coming off of this tunnel brace right here to secure the other carrier bearing tab. So once the front carrier bearing is you know, secured, this is gonna sit kind of free floating on its own, which then I'm gonna have to align, you know, the up and down, left and right movement of the back half of the viscous coupler, and then find a way to mount these two guys to the tunnel. Went crawling underneath the car, and I came up with this template right here. So this right here is for the front left carrier bearing tab that didn't have a mounting point. This curvature is based off the bracket that's currently under the tunnel, and this is one of 4 sides. So 1, 2, 3 where the bolt goes through, and then 4 is the front plate. And this is actually the width of this like square tubing that I have. I'm not sure what size this is, and I'm pretty much just going to trace it off somewhere right here like that, and then I'm gonna cut it according to the shape of this template, and it saves me from welding all of these ends if I was to cut these all individual pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grind these down real quick. Haven't used that one yet. I did not forget. Thank you, Kat and Joe, for this, but I like to use my grinder to the end of days, and this is still, you know, shooting pretty hard. So grinder, safety, ear safety, let's cut. So I'm using this add-on piece right here in the tunnel, which is for apparently for the exhaust, but there should have been 2 of this on the RT model, front and back, to both of the viscous couplers too. So right now, based off of this, I made this piece, which goes somewhere in here, right? I still got to clean this frame, but it's somewhat like that. So the bracket is not sitting like centered on this piece right here due to that side. Based off of that side, it's actually more forward and not centered here. So if I move it over, you can see there's a gap on this side. It's almost flush on the other side here, but you can see where the viscous like carrier bearing would sit in this bracket. So I'm just gonna like scoot it over until it's centered, because I'm not like crazy OCD, but I want it to be centered to evenly distribute the weight of this sucker. So if you can see that if I put a plate back here, a nut, you know, that's pretty much where it's gonna be mounted to. So I'm gonna go ahead and just clean up the frame and make this back piece right here, get it all mocked up before I weld it in place. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this, because it's such a big space in the middle that I'm gonna have to figure out some type of like, I don't know, sandwiching plate, or I don't know, legs coming off of a sandwich plate, or sandwich plate meaning plate on the inside, plate on the outside. I really was asking around for the longest time if anybody was willing to part out an RT, or had an RT to part out, if they were willing to cut this out. 4 people I messaged, nobody replied back. So I'm gonna have to come up with something with this, and I have to make it super strong, because this viscous coupler rebuilt by Benjamin White, it's gonna hook up really hard, and I don't want to go breaking some flimsy stuff here. So mark this sucker out, put on the outside of the line, because I did mark it from the inside, and there's my plate. Quick look of the mount installed, kinda, before I tack it all in. Got it all wired down, so it's all bare metal underneath there. Pretty flush. Still got to make some adjustments to close up those gaps a little bit more, but it's looking good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just tack them in place. I mean, if it looks good, I'm just gonna weld it. Move this out of the way, and I'm gonna go ahead and knock it out right now. I guess you can say I got carried away, but this mount is done. Ooh, that's clean. My cousin just slid through right now. I'm just looking at its intercooler, boy. Can't even see it's there. Alan, how's it been driving it?
It's fun.
It's fun, huh?
It's trouble.
Oh, you ain't no trouble until this thing gets on the dyno. Guys, we are on day 3 of the viscous coupler mounting, and yesterday my buddy George came over, and we were just kind of catching up because I don't see him often. So we went late into the night. I was still working till like 10, getting all my plates ready to, you know, bolt or weld down into the tunnel. So let me show you guys what I did last night. Obviously both my seats are gone, and the plate ended up being right here. I self-tapped it into place to kind of get an idea on how I was going to do this. So I was going to take off the whole carpet, but realizing that, you know, if I just cut the carpet right in the middle, zip tie it back into place, it is zip tied in the front, so this isn't a big deal because the console sits over it. So pull it back, probably put a prop in between here to ensure that when I weld, if anything blows through, it's not gonna burn my carpet. So you can see one of the plate is in place. Now let me show you the plate that I made. So you can see this plate right here. There are two of them. One is already in the car where you saw the self-tapping screws in the square, and this is 3/16, so it's pretty thick. The only thing I'm worried about is that the chassis is probably like 16 gauge or even thinner, because you can literally flex it by, you know, pushing on it. So this guy's thick, and my goal is to weld on the thick part and then, you know, bridge over so, you know, it fuses into the tunnel without burning through. And the reason why I made this bigger is because I'm trying to utilize the amount of space in the area inside the car to clamp down as much as I can to ensure that it's not gonna, you know, break off just where these little bolts are at. So I am gonna weld this. I am gonna bolt these to the plate on the inside of the car, which is the reason why the carpet is pulled back. So under the car right here, give you guys a better visual and understanding of what I'm doing. So I grinded the chassis down. You can see it is two very thin layers on top of each other, and I just self-tapped this into place to give me, you know, a reference. So I don't know if you guys can see it. I try to center this to this guy right here. Man, guys, I am super stoked with the way these mounts came out. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick little look underneath the car. I still need to weld a few spots, but that's not a big deal. So underneath the car here, guys, we've been working on these two back mounts right here, and I just welded the square tubing right here to the sandwich plate. I still need to weld the top of it and also the plate, but I think what I'm gonna do as far as the plate goes is I'm not gonna fully weld the plate because of how thin the tunnel is. So I'm just gonna weld the corner joint, which are these guys right here. I'm probably gonna go across on each four corner, and I'm not going to go all the way across, you know, the four-sided of the plate. So I think that's plenty of strong, because we do have 10mm bolts and nuts holding, you know, this to the plate on the back side inside the car. The plate on the inside is obviously bigger than the plate on the outside, so I think that's plenty of strength, because the Viscous Coupler does have two carrier bearing. These two guys are fully solid into the frame, and then this guy is kind of like, you know, like extra support to ensure that we don't bow at the joint. So I think that's gonna do it for the mount, other than me finishing up a couple welds. We are getting dark again outside, and you can see Viscous drive shaft is all moving. Oh, this is so complicated underneath the car. You can see it moving. Nothing is touching. We got clearance everywhere, no noise. Oh, I forgot those bolts back there. But yeah, as far as this video goes, I know it's probably been dragging on because, you know, other things, procrastination, friends, but my task for this is done. So I am going to cut the video right here, because tomorrow I am getting the car ready for a gathering. It's actually a fundraiser for a friend of my cousin's and, you know, the Built to Drive crew that passed away, and it's a fundraiser show. I'm gonna clean the CRX up while I still have some daylight. If you guys enjoyed this video and the progress we are making on the Wagon, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around for the transmission swap, I think that's what I'm gonna do next after this transmission swap and then drive shaft. Be sure to hit the subscribe button right now. Be sure to hit the notification bell for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday uploads. I kind of been off my track this week, but I promise you guys we will be back on track next week. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I shanked myself on my head.